Hey, I'm Carlos Garcia, and today we're going over some cigar maintenance. So today is what I do about every 6, 9 months, a year. It really depends on when I get to it. But today I'm going to go through all my cigars, inspect them to make sure there's no beetles hatching in there in any of my humidors. I'll make sure there's no mold or plume, whatever you guys call it. We can have that debate in the comments. But I'm just making sure all the cigars are healthy, good. I'm gonna rotate them so that they're not in the same spot, and I'm gonna organize them. So even if you have 20 cigars or 1,000 cigars, this video can help out because I'll have different humidors that I'm going through, and I'm gonna consolidate a lot of it into my bigger humidor right behind me because I have a good amount of space now available in there, and I have some cigars on the top, little humidors that I'll go over in the video. But first, let's talk about Riley's. So if you're watching this video in October 2025, the day this releases is going to be the Friday before the end of the Riley's charity. So if you want to win some crazy whiskey bottle like a Pappy Van Winkle 20 year, a George C. Stagg, all kinds of bottles, over 200 bottles, go to slbcares.org. The link is in the description. You can buy yourself a $5 raffle ticket and you can win all kinds of crazy bottles. All the money is going to support Riley's Children's Hospital. Great guys doing it. It's SLB Drinks if you're not familiar with them. They're whiskey tubers. Also, Bourbon and Ballz is also doing a charity drive to support SLB Drinks with their own nice ass bottles. Their link is also in the description. Basically same thing, but different bottles. So you can go into both raffles and win multiple bottles on both of them. All supports Riley's, so go get your tickets, and I hope you guys win some stuff. I knew I was gonna record that again. All right, so let's get into the cigar stuff. So the first thing I'm gonna do is grab the cigars that are in these containers and kind of go through there and see how that's going and take them out and lay them out on the table. So I'll probably stop in once in a while and kind of just say a couple things. So these travel cases are amazing, right? So these are a couple different sizes. This is actually the one I had outside earlier. I did Whiskey Cigar Club earlier. This can hold like 5 cigars, and then you can put your lighter and cutter right here. And that's a good little travel case. This is usually if I'm going for somewhere for like a cigar or two. I've been using this bigger one a lot lately. This can hold like 15. This I used to use all the time, and I opened this up. This is the problem, right? I was like, oh shoot, there's cigars in here. And these are cigars I picked up in Kentucky about a month ago. Now, the Boveda pack is still, as you can see, very good, so it's fine. Like, if you use this as your humidor, it wouldn't be any different than any other humidor that doesn't control temperature. As long as you have humidity in there, you're fine. But this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sure that all my cigars aren't just in random places. So I'll go through some of these cigars and kind of make sure that everything's good, and then I'll put them to the side. Okay, so let's talk about one of the cheapest humidor things you can do, right? So you can do a Tupperware, what this is called. So you basically get Tupperware. So this is a bigger one, right? This can hold a lot of cigars, as you can see. And you can see there's 2 more up there. I used to have 7 of these. This used to be basically how I kept my cigars for a good amount of time. So I had an old wine fridge that I used. It didn't really control humidity, so I put Boveda packs in there, but it would control temperature to a point. But then it broke. So there went that. So then I went to the Tupperware things. And if you're going this route, nothing wrong with this. It's cheap. It works. It's not aesthetically pleasing. But if you need like a cheap way to do a humidor, this works. What I would recommend is use Boveda pack. So in here, somewhere, is a Boveda pack. Now this is probably overfilled for what these are, but I'll be okay with smoking cigars. A lot of this specific Tupperware is like my cheaper cigars. So if you're looking at some of these brands like, oh, this is crap cigars. These are crap cigars. Not to shit on anybody's cigars, but these are more like the low end cigars. They're also like my longer cigars, except for these couple. But, oh, right here. Okay, so the Boveda pack, still solid. But again, my goal is to, so we'll see. The crappier cigars will probably stay in Tupperware doors. What I am looking for though is these. I actually have two of them. They're right next to each other for some reason. I don't know why. These are, yeah, Govies. I was about to say Govies and thought it was something else. So these little Govie things, you get them on Amazon. They monitor your humidity, your temperature, a couple other things actually that don't need for cigars. And you can track them on your phone. So I have these in my Tupperware doors. I also have some in my regular humidor, just a second way to look at to make sure that this is accurate. But I've put these in my Tupperware door. So if you have a good size, good seal, that's very important, you know, food safe container. You have your humidity pack, I recommend Bovitas, and a hygrometer to check your humidity. The temperature doesn't really matter because it's going to be the temperature of the climate, the area that's in. You keep that away from any kind of sunlight or anything like that. It's going to keep your cigars pretty good. So I'll get these all out and then go through the next couple. Okay, I cleared out. Another thing I have in these is, and I had these for my my wine refrigerator humidor. I had these as my trays in there. These are cedar trays. Again, I'm pretty sure I got these on Amazon. I no longer need them, but they fit perfectly in here. So I like the cedar part in here. Is that a requirement with these? No, but if you have some like cedar planks or something like that, you could throw them in there. It won't hurt. So something I'm trying to do today is also get all these cigars that are in boxes outside of boxes, but we'll see exactly how much space I have for that to do that. But another one, Bovita pack's good. That's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure the Bovita packs are all solid still. As I'm pulling them out, I'm kind of looking them, kind of making sure. What I'm looking for is any kind of pinholes in the wrapper at all. And that would kind of be like the beetles. And if you don't know what that, so there's tobacco beetles that they usually hatch in your cigars if they get too hot. So if you keep them at a good temperature, it usually isn't a factor. A lot of cigar manufacturers, they'll freeze the cigars before you get them. So I check for that. I'm also, checking for mold, especially on the foot. Luckily, I haven't found anything that's bad yet. Hopefully I don't see any. Now these are rolled at the farm. Oh, that's just from the little band thing. So these I was maybe a little worried about, but they're looking good too. So if you're newer to cigars, the most counterfeit cigar in the world is this brand, Cohiba. It's not exactly, it won't probably be this Ligero size. This is like the Castro we smoked all the time. But if you look at that label, right, where the face, the head is centered versus, for example, this one. This is not even a good fake. See how it's off centered? This is a fake cigar. So I have some on purpose, and I want to do a video on kind of showing the differences. I want to cut open a lot of fake cigars to kind of see what's inside them. But we'll get to that. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, like even before I even did YouTube. But what I would say is, going off of, if you see one of these like in Mexico, at Mexico Beach, and they're like, oh, these are real Cubans, they're not. So just think that they're most likely fake, because they probably are. Okay, these are some cigars I got from my wife. So I want to put these in a separate spot. She's been smoking them. There's no there's no humidity or anything. These are straight out of the box. She's been smoking them. They're small cigars. She doesn't complain too much. So, but definitely gonna make her own like little humidor with her own stuff. This is a brand new box I picked up recently. So I'm gonna take all this out and put it into a humidor. So if you guys remember me doing a review of this case, like a month or two ago, these should still be like 15% off wherever they are. It's in the description if you want to buy one of these. I already reviewed it. I'll put the video of the review in the description as well, I guess, if you want to see it. But this has been holding good. Now it's 72%. That's because I checked the thing earlier and I had to put water in it. And this is why I don't like, while we're doing, I guess I'll show you. if you didn't see the review, I am a firm believer of Boveda packs. Now this kit or this humidor came with one of the sponge type things that you kind of put the distilled water in it. I don't like these so much. They don't last as long as Boveda packs, but I want to do a review of this as it came, not necessarily how I would use it, but kind of like if you were buying this, how, if you didn't buy, if you weren't spending your money on anything else, how would you use it? And this comes with it. So I might actually take this out and put a Boveda pack in here, and then I might turn this into my wife's humidor. It does smell good in here, but I'm gonna take all these out too, because I wanna check every cigar. But when I did this, I just grabbed random cigars and put them in here anyways. Because as you can see, this is just chaotic. I got boxes in here, cigars all over the place. Look, it's not even opening because of the damn thing. So this needs to be organized, and this has been driving me crazy. I have it organized in a certain way that I don't like it organized. And I also want to make sure that, so this little kit has this little slot for stuff, but I'm also going to put new water. As you can see, there's still water in here, but I'm going to switch out the water. And I'm going to take all these cigars out of here and check them all. All right, the first problem I've seen so far, and it's something I was kind of hoping I didn't find. In here, I don't know if you guys saw when I pulled it out before, there was like a blue, like sponge, like a big blue sponge kind of here. I have seen some people talk about how it gets moldy a little bit. Now, I didn't see any mold, but I did see some decoloration. People just said just throw that out and just fill this thing with water. Now, I am going to monitor to make sure that the humidity is still being, you know, at the right spot for the next couple of weeks, months. And if I have any issues, I'll definitely reach out to the company and like, hey, I want a new one. So that's something I am definitely going to monitor. You know, this is $1,000 piece of equipment right here. You know, better work properly. So that I did see that. I threw it out. I cleaned it. I wiped this down. It's dry now. So, you know, I'll put in some distilled water. And this particular one doesn't really have like a fill to line. So I'm just gonna put it a good amount. It's below the holes. All right, now that all the cigars are on the table, and I guess I should have said this right away, I clean the table first. So make sure wherever you're putting your, you know, it's your cigars on, it's clean. All the cigars are out. Now this is where it gets very tedious, and I go through every single one, check them all out. And then I kind of, how I do it, how I organize my cigars, and it's really up to you, is I'll kind of put like the Cubans in one section, and then I'll kind of like my expensive ones that are in this area right here, because kind of that's how I had my setup already. I'll kind of do it by price. So each shelf will kind of be like rare, expensive to not so expensive. And then whatever doesn't fit goes into the tupperwares as like my daily cigars. Does that make sense? That's how I do it. You know, you can arrange however you want. You can do it by size, but within the drawers, I kind of move stuff in the sizes. I do it on basically price and rarity in kind of that order. So if I find anything, I'll let you know. Well, that took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But I basically had everything out. I checked every single one, especially these tubes. I've actually had issues with the tubes in the past, but that was straight from the store, that they weren't properly storing them. But I now have everything basically out. I checked everything. I did not see any issues, which I guess is good for me, but I kind of wanted to show you some issues. I didn't find anything. One thing I did want to say, because it's something that people ask questions about. If you see on the wrapper, see, I'm hoping the camera gets a bit, right there, it's like green. That's actually on the wrapper, the leaf. That's okay. You can smoke that. That's a chlorophyll issue. I'll put that back over there. That's this area actually, well, they're on. These are all my whiskey cigar things. So like you see some Angel's Envy, some Ego Rare, some Buffalo Trace, some Weller. But that's that one area. So that what I want to answer or put it out there. Another thing, probably the most common question in all of cigar storing is, do you take the cellophane off? And it's, you know, there's a whole debate on this. I store my cigars, as you can see, how they come. So if they come in a tube, they stay in a tube. If they come in a cellophane, they come in cellophane. This isn't plastic. This is breathable. So the humidity still gets the cigar. It protects the cigar more than anything. You know, now if you don't want the cellophane, if it's aesthetically something wrong that you don't like, I get that. You don't want that showing the plastic. You know, all these cigars over here, like the Cubans, they don't come in cellophane. That's a thing. A thing if you see a Cuban in cellophane, instantly not a Cuban. But, you know, some of these higher tier cigars, like the Davidoffs, they don't come in cellophanes. But the Opus X's, some of them do. Actually, all of them. I thought this one didn't. But, you know, the Opus X's come in. So it's really what you want to do. But I always recommend in the cellophane. All right, so no issues. Now to put these cigars in their proper homes. All right, we're at the finish line. So I got everything all put away. I'm still using some Tupperdoors just because I don't want to overfill this. But let me show you what it looks like now. All right, so this top shelf is my newer Cubans that I got this year. And then this is some of, actually this is Cubans from both years. I was gonna try to do it separately like that, but I just didn't work out that way. So this is Cubans, and then this on this side are Cubans, the tubes, some hand rolled ones, and some cheaper Cubans I got in Portugal. This side is my higher ends cigars that aren't from Cuba. So like the Opus X's and the nicer Padrones and stuff like that, Davidoffs, they're in that side. So basically rared down. And I learned this recently from Cigars Daily. Tim at Cigars Daily said if you're going to do like a tiered system like this, put your more rare stuff at the top. So I was like, okay, because I actually had it backwards before. So we'll go with that. That's fine with me. So this level, this whole side is all like the whiskey cigar ones, and then a couple Olivia V's over here, some of the Amazons, and then just some smaller cigars that fit in that corner. And this is just, this whole side right here is like from Puerto Rico and Brazil that I picked up over my few trips this past year. And this is just every other pretty good cigar in this one spot. So that's how it's set up. Should be good. It's not overfilled, which is what I was really hoping not to do. And then the leftover. So this is, I'm going to turn into basically my wife's and like guests, I guess. But my wife's cigars are in here. It's staying 65. I did put a Bovita pack inside and I took the little spongy thing out. So as you can see, it's 65. I don't have to worry about it. These are some cheapos, some bigger cheapos, 65 Bovita in there. And this is just an assortment of cheapos as well. You know, daily cigars. All right, so that's that. I hope some of this was informative. You know, I was kind of hoping some of the cigars were kind of a little jacked up so I could be like, oh, this is how I would fix this. But really, if you have cigar beetles, you know, you gotta kind of quarantine those cigars. Hopefully it's not an infestation. Luckily, that was an issue today. If you see a lot of mold, you're putting too much humidity into your thing, whatever you're using. So, you know, biggest things is make sure your Bovita packs or whatever humidification you're using are good. So definitely check that stuff. You know, I like to rotate my cigars every 6-9 months to a year, just so that there's more airflow for all the cigars. Obviously, when you have this much cigars, I'm not going to smoke all these cigars anytime soon. So, you know, I got to be making sure that everything is good and going the right way and not getting bad in there. So happy everything got settled, or everything's set, everything's squared away. It's all organized, which was a big thing because now I don't have good cigars outside of my expensive humidor. So that was stupid for me for keeping them out for a long time. So I do want to do a giveaway. So if you want a sampler pack from the cigars you saw today, now, could they be cheapos? Could they be Cubans? Who knows? It'll be a surprise. So if you want to enter to win a sampler pack, all the rules are the same. You know, this will be cut off in 72 hours after this video is posted. Comment with capital letters Cigar 2025, all one word. I figured people were going to say cigar a lot. So, but capital letter Cigar with 2025 on it. Put in the beginning of your comment. You know, obviously I don't know everything there is to do with cigars. So if you have any advice, put in the comments. You know, if you want to give me any advice, you know, I used to store my cigars backwards from what Tim at Cigars Daily said, where I put the nicer cigars at the bottom so that people couldn't grab them. But he basically said keep them at the top. So, you know, I just changed that this time. So I'm always learning, even though I've been smoking cigars for 20 years. But obviously this new electric humidor I got like over a year ago. And, you know, I'm still learning how to use the fancy stuff. You know, we're from plastic bins to a very expensive humidor. And you saw the little water tray. That was an issue. That's pretty much the only issue I saw the whole time today was and that's a very important thing. If that started developing mold, that's an issue, right? So anyways, don't do the stupid. And if you do, don't get caught. Bye.